Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the one, the only, the Fan Show, episode 489. I'm your host, as always, the T-Man, Richard T-Man, and the man in the other box, well, every Mother's Day, he is the gift to his mother. It's my man, Father Malcolm McCoy. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. What better gift can a mother get than me? You know what I'm saying? No, man, I'm great. I'm great, brother. Always a pleasure, man. Hey, man, how are you?
You strike me as the type because you have siblings, right? You have a brother. Very, are you guys twins or just close in age? Like,
No, really close. Hey, we used to. I have one older and two younger, and the three of the nearest siblings we all used to get confused as triplets. But yeah, no twins or triplets. Just really close in age.
yeah, see that's a middle child thing where you're like, I am the gift. Like I'm not the oldest that was supposed to set the standard for us all, and I'm not the youngest that's screwing it all up. I'm right
Yeah,
in the
there
middle.
it is. There it is, brother. That's it. That's it.
How was your Mother's Day? Your mom doing well? You guys have a good time?
She's doing great, man. Yeah, she's like one of the most low maintenance moms like I've met. So I mean, luckily she asked us to actually hold off on taking her out the day of because I mean she doesn't like being out and about excessively. So I was like, hey, you don't gotta tell me twice, man. We're just gonna take her out sometime this week and get to it, man. So yeah, but she's doing all right. Everyone's doing good. So man, it's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, Mother's Day for me has gotten complicated. Well, one, I have in-laws, right? So I have two
Mm,
extra moms on that side. But also for my mom personally, I think it's been like, God, 4 years now. So I have a sister, not a lot of people
yeah.
know,
Okay.
9 years older than me. She hates me. She she hates the fact that I was born, quite literally, because I mean, you do the math. Ages 9 through 18, when you're
Mm,
getting into activities and figuring stuff out, middle school, high school, there was a baby slash toddler that your parents had to take care of at home, and so my parents they weren't able to get around to a whole bunch of her stuff,
yeah.
because they were taking care of me, and it's like, okay, like
Mm.
cry about it. I'm sorry for being born, but we'll go ahead and get a little personal here. So, for those that don't know, my wife and I, like, we can't have kids. We've been through some infertility stuff. So, my sister, like I said, 9 years older, she has had four kids. So, that's four grandkids, which, I mean, divide them in half. That makes up for like if I had two and then she had two, it spreads it pretty evenly. But something
Mm,
happened, we don't know what, but something happened like 4 years ago where my sister just stopped talking to my mom and dad entirely and
mm,
doesn't let her kids see them. And so it breaks my
right.
mom's heart because like I've witnessed emotional, physical abusive parents, right?
Mm,
And she is not like that at all. Like my dad, I think every son is scared of their dad at certain points in their life because it's like you wait till your father gets home kind of thing. So we had
mm,
that, but my mom not even anywhere close to that. So the fact that my sister will not give us a reason as to why she has taken this action, and then my mom hasn't gotten to see her grandkids for 4 years now, breaks my
man.
heart because Mother's Day rolls around and I'm the only one that calls her because it's
Mm,
my sister has written us out of her life. So I make the joke I'm like an only child now, and my sister, who is just going to be this crazy bitch, I guess, and her husband who's just going to go along with it like the kind of coward that he is. It's whatever. I mean, nobody's family is perfect, but like, what the hell? Just
yeah, man. No, I
families,
feel
dude.
that for sure, man. I'm definitely sorry to hear that, brother. But I mean, if it's anything like anybody else's family, we run into things and have little road bumps and roadblocks and stuff like that. Hopefully, she gets to the point where she can kind of get over whatever pseudo beef there is between the rest of the family. I mean, because I've seen it before in my family as well. So, uh, you know, it's just one of those things, man. You gotta try to, I guess, be the glue between the two parties, but you know, families, like you said, man.
It's tough, man. Like families are just they're different sometimes. I have friends that are
Mm,
more family than actual family is. Just
yeah,
like I'm
hell
sure
yeah,
you do. You've been on
hell yeah,
teams where the players and teammates are more family than family is. So it's kind of been one of
man.
those. lifestyles for me. 9 years difference, you're not going to have a whole hell of a lot in common anyway. But
Yeah.
it's what it is. She's going to have to live with it at the end of the day, not me. So that's personal story time. You guys get a little window into my life, but
Mm.
anyway, so it was still a good day. We celebrate Danja with Mother's Day because we're pet parents, and that's like as close as we're going to get right now. And then give my mom a call, and hopefully we'll be able to connect and visit them sometime down the road. But that was our weekend. We're not going to do a good, bad, and funny because we're at the midway point of the season. So we kind of want to devote some time and energy to maybe some mid-season awards. So
Yeah.
we're doing
Yeah.
kind of a light open here. But I did want to say, I've been meaning to say this last two episodes, I'm so proud of Malcolm because he has been embracing the role of co-host, not just by booking some really good guests like we've had, but also he's been embracing the chaos. There was some content a few weeks ago involving the Sharks and some things said about the NAL and the level of competition. And Malcolm shared it and said, this is going to ruffle some feathers, but it's 100% accurate. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
he's embracing it. Like, I love it. It's because that's part of the thing. Like, you have to be prepared to defend your points of view and what you talk about on a platform like this because there's a
For
comment
sure.
section and people are gonna find out how to get a hold of you and start hitting you up and be like, hey, that thing you said, I don't agree with it. Okay, just like power rankings every week. That's always so much fun.
Yeah.
But the AFL continues to be the circus that it is. The meme
Mm.
that I created over the weekend, which I'll throw up right now, is that horse illustration. You have to Google horse drawing meme. And so there
Mm.
was the AFL is back hashtag and all the preseason hype. And then literally weeks 1 through 2, we're like, okay, you had Albany and Orlando, and then
Right.
kind of Nashville, and then the now, which is like, I think the Myth just announced that they're ceasing operations today. So there's another team that bites the
Go
dust. And
figure.
I think we're down to like 5 or 6 teams that are still, they're trying, but for how long, I don't
Shit.
know. So that's
Shit.
the
We'll see.
news for the other leagues around the world. But Quad City had a #1 play on the top 10. So I
Mm.
think that's 4 now this season for the IFL, which is great. Really good for Quad City. I'm pretty sure SportsCenter used my screen grab because if you watch, there's a particular way I crop my screen grabs for highlights and stuff. And there's
Mm.
little subtleties where you could be like, that looks like a T-Man or fan show screen grab. So, a little boost the confidence there for myself. And then Sap Lynch is back with Tucson, which we will talk about. So let's go ahead then and dive in to week #9. We had a couple of Friday games and a full slate on another Super Saturday. So let's go ahead and break down that action. We started off Friday with Quad City and Sioux Falls. I thought that Sioux Falls was, now that they had won, it was the first of a few at least. Quad City looked like a team kind of without an identity. They go in
Mm.
with Irwin as their quarterback, not Erickson. So, I mean, I'm like, this can't get any worse for Quad City. But sure enough, Jordan Vesey, I've been told is how you pronounce his last name, and then Vander, the 2 V's of victory for Quad City
Mm.
and the Steamwheelers, man. They took it to them. Final score 56-49. There were a few spots in this game that you could maybe point out as like the difference maker, but ultimately, Quad City just had to hold Sioux Falls out of the end zone and just make it a really bad day for Lorenzo Brown, which, I mean,
Yeah.
he had 2 picks, and sometimes all you need is one. So Sioux Falls 1-6 now, Quad City 3-4, and in their
Mm.
conference, that's you need them. You need you need
Oh
all the
yeah.
wins you can get because we're going to talk about that. It's getting ugly on that side of things. But Mike Irwin, 14-22, 178 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air, no
Mm.
interceptions, and 1 rushing touchdown. Hey, our man Dunk, he got an INT in that one of those two. So how about that?
Yeah, no, looking mighty athletic, return it too, if I might add, man. No, that was a great play. As I was watching, I was just jumping off the wall when I saw that.
Quad City continues their back and forth, win loss, win loss. This one might be the turning point for them. I know it's only their 3rd win, but it was a win they really needed, like for confidence, if not anything. So we'll
Mm.
see if that is the actual case for them in the coming weeks. And then the other Friday game was another thriller. San Diego, the Strike Force, and the Vegas Nighthawks,
Mm,
64-68 Nighthawks. So they
man.
stay perfect. Nate Davis had another Nate Davis game. He can't play defense. I mean, I'm sure they've probably discussed it at this point, but 17 to 27 for 213, 6 touchdowns, a lone interception. But Jerome, man, Johnson for Vegas, 12 of 17,
A dog.
149 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air, 2 rushing TDs. But Wimbush, there's a name that we haven't seen pop up just yet. 3 rushing touchdowns. So we've been talking for a majority of the season that some of these offenses that are functioning really well are doing it with a true blue run game. And so,
Hmm.
it wasn't all Jerome Johnson. So that's something to keep an eye on as we watch Vegas and how long they can stay perfect. Right now, 7 in a row, pretty tough to do at this league. Your thought from that game, because this one we both really thought could go either way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I mean, I guess on paper, it shouldn't be a surprise because, a lot of times an undefeated team is undefeated for a reason. But like you said, I mean, it could have went either way. San Diego has a great roster, offense and defense. So it was just one of those games, it comes down to a few plays. And like you said, Nate, at this point, I'm sure he was probably itching to throw his helmet on line up at safety or something. But he played a hell of a game, and that's all you can do as a quarterback. You just got to kind of rely on your defense to, hold you down. And unfortunately, it was just a difference between, a couple plays and Vegas took advantage of it.
Yeah, it is Vegas. I feel like there's so many question marks around them, if that's what you want to say, but they
Hmm.
continue to win. I mean, and they beat teams with winning records to get those wins. I mean, it's no longer a question of did they have an easy schedule. Like they're getting
Not
wins
at
against
all.
teams that they're going to need to get wins against in order to get
Hmm.
one of those top seeds. So right now they're the standard in the league, plain and simple, the
Yeah,
Nighthawks. Saturday
easily.
then. Saturday, oof. If there was ever a bigger slap in the face for me and Malk, we'll let you know. But there's times to support your friends and be like, yeah, you guys can do it. And then there's times where you should be like, you know what, we'll get you next go around. And Jackson Frisco. I did message Bryant. I said, "Hey man, rough game, but we still love you guys. We still believe in you." And he was just, he brushed it off. But the final score there, 33-68. Frisco,
Yeah.
statement win or a message to the rest of the league, because we were kind of wondering after that San Antonio loss, like, okay, like is this, or maybe it's NAL teams, or maybe it's teams that they're
Mhm.
overlooking with bad records, but not the case. So 1-6 and 6-1. I don't know how Frisco's doing it right now. Their coach is one of the top 3 candidates for coach of the year, because this was not Edwards. Last week was not Edwards either. This was Harrington, who had 3 rushing
Yeah.
touchdowns. And Carter had 4 rushing touchdowns. So their ground game clearly very physical, very well rounded. Um,
Mhm.
but they had 8 rushing touchdowns total. I mean, that's
Crazy.
just insane. Like that, you're not gonna win against a team that is grinding you out on the ground. You're just not. It doesn't matter what level of football you're at. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Peyton, 2 TDs, 2 picks, and then 2 rushing touchdowns. So a pretty average day, but you can't give up any against a team like Frisco.
Not at all. Not at all. Especially with that defense they got. Charles Williams on the line. You got Roy C at linebacker. Those guys are gonna make you pay if you don't put points on the board every time, every drive. So I mean, they did just that. And like you said, hats off to Frisco's coaching staff, man. It's kind of a testament to your program if you can not play your reigning MVP and still get the same result, man. They're still running the score up on guys, and I mean they're minus their star player. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. The defense has been great. You mentioned C; he's been phenomenal all season long. So then
yeah.
we had Tulsa and Green Bay, another game that we thought could be close, but ultimately we gave the nod to Tulsa just because Coach Jones is one of the most well-prepared coaches in any league that we've ever,
Hmm.
witnessed. But 22-42, 20-point difference. And this one, uh, Tulsa scored the first touchdown, but then after that, it was like Green Bay just controlled it, and I don't even know
Yeah.
how. Myler had another great game, 12 of 20 for
Mm-hmm.
161, 3 touchdowns through the air, 2 on the ground, no picks. Harry Ballard, 3 of those receiving touchdowns. And then their defense had 4 broken up passes, 1 forced fumble, and 2 sacks. So clearly a very well rounded team that I think a lot of more people should start to take notice of. But
Mm-hmm.
you have Tulsa at 3-4 and Green Bay now at 5-2. So here's my take on this game at this point of the season. And correct me if you have a different point of view on this. Would love your thoughts, Malk. But this
Yeah.
is a game where if Tulsa doesn't get into the playoffs, it's going to be because of this game, right? But
Mm.
if Green Bay doesn't get into the playoffs, I don't think it's going to be because of this game. Like, I don't think this game for Green Bay has the same effect as this game does for Tulsa, if that makes sense.
No, no, I agree 100%. So I'd be lying if I said I know exactly how the playoff rank and like breakdown and rankings go. But one thing I do know for sure is that you only have the luxury of kind of not having games matter like within the first 3 weeks. From that point forward, it's almost like every win. Ideally, you want to win every game, but it becomes that much more pivotal when you start looking at the playoff picture. And I mean, it's kind of funny talking about playoffs, week 3 and week 4, but that's the goal, and it just makes it that much more difficult if you don't win those key games, especially in the division. So
So that brings us to Massachusetts and Iowa. We're actually going to talk to Kyle King here, quarterback for Iowa, after we get done breaking down week number 9. But 34-42 was your final. Iowa back-to-back
mhm.
wins after starting 0-5, Mass 5-2. So they're not in too much of hot water at the moment, but something to maybe pay attention to because this is the second loss to a subpar team as far as record-wise goes. I'm not saying
Mhm.
that Iowa's subpar, but it's like you look at records at this point in the season and see a 5-1 team against a 1-5 team, your mind automatically says, okay, so pending some catastrophic injury, which Benefield did play. So you
Mhm.
had King 16-26, 131, 2 TDs through the air. Benefield 17-26, 193. 2 touchdowns through the air, no picks, and 2 on the ground. So it's not that either one really gave up anything. It was just they had to fight literally for every point that they got because there was a Rui deuce that got called back, and that would have tied the
Mhm.
game. And then there was something else that happened that was a little bit of a controversial call, but I mean they really had to get work for every single point that they got in this win. So they improved to 2-5, and they will not be a bye week for teams anymore, I don't think. But that was a really fun game to watch, just because there's not like a single moment. It was just like you had to. Mass had no business losing that game, and then somehow they did. So you have to watch it
Yeah.
all the way through.
Yeah.
And that brings us to San Antonio and Duke City. Oh man, so close, so close.
So
56-53.
close.
San Antonio improves to 3-4. Duke City remains the lone winless team. Castronova had another Sam Castronova day,
Yeah.
24-29, 243 yards, 6 touchdowns, no picks, 1 rushing touchdown at that, which has
Mhm.
been a rare sighting. 4 different receivers. And then poor Lacayo, one of the most automatic, probably top 3 kickers in the entire league. Chance to tie it up as time expires, and it's wide left. Like such a rare miss. Like you almost had to like go back and be like, wait, was that real? And yeah, it was. So
Right.
I felt
Right.
terrible for Ernesto. He's a friend of mine, and he prides himself so much on the mechanics and the art of kicking, and I just know it tore him apart. But Malk, this was your game to watch as far as you have history with both teams. Tell us about the new man in Duke City.
Man, I heard one of the commentators saying this may be what Duke City was looking for. It's no maybe. He certainly is, man. Joe Mancuso, he's a guy. He's really a guy. He was signed with the team, I want to say a couple weeks back. And choosing to start him proved to be the difference maker, or I should say the fire starter that this team needed, man. I mean, he ended the game, I want to say, with 4 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing. Really really, really, like I said, really a difference maker, man. He just seems like one of those guys who not only can walk, will talk the talk, but he's walking the walk too, because he brings the team up around him. And I saw this kind of watching body language, guys. They're playing a lot different than they were just a couple weeks ago. So man, I'm excited to see what he does going forward for sure.
I think they're close to their first win, closer than they've ever been, at least now that they
Hmm.
finally have their guy that they believe at quarterback. So could be next week, could be the week after. I would love that, and it's because of who they play that week.
Of
But hey,
course,
it's good to see it because you don't want to see a team be miserable all season long. You've been in
for
locker
sure,
rooms like
man.
that before. It's not fun.
No fun at all. No fun at
So
all.
so it's good to have that. But that will bring us to the last two games. Bay Area, the Panthers taking on the Northern
Mm,
Arizona Wranglers. Another really close game. 39-36 is your final. Bay Area back in the win column. Still just the lone
mm,
loss on the season. Naz 4-3 though. They've suffered back-to-back losses, but I still think they're one of the top, teams in the league right now. As far as if you
mm.
have them on your schedule, be warned because they're not going to be an easy beat. But
Not at
Shane
all.
Simpson, dude, again with that run game stuff. He had two reception touchdowns and two rushing touchdowns, and there's been a few games where we've recapped Bay Area where his name has come up. He's a
Mm,
very well-rounded athlete. Neal was back under center, three touchdowns for him. So I mean, Naz, it's you just got to finish right all 60 minutes of football against teams like Vegas, like Bay Area, even San Diego. This is the point in the season where you got to take points, yes, but at the same time, know your opponent and take maybe as many points as you can get,
mm,
which is a nice segue into the last game, Arizona against Tucson. Arizona rivals, and it was 39-32 Arizona. So Arizona improves to 4-3 now, finally above 500. Back to
mm.
back wins. Tucson unfortunately drops to 1-5. Malik Mitchell was back, but man, here's what I mean by what I was saying for the last game is that this game started 3-0 Tucson. And I really think that that was a mistake by Billy Back and the Sugar Skulls because you have to know who you're playing as far as like okay, we've scored three, we're ahead for now. But if they get a touchdown now, even though it's only a 4 point game, we're
Mm,
chasing points. And I don't think
yeah.
Arizona, regardless if it's Kettle or Lorenzo Brown or Snead at quarterback, whoever it is, they're not a team that you want to play from behind. You just don't want to get yourself into that situation because then from that
Mm,
point on, I think Arizona settled for maybe one field goal the entire first half, where Tucson settled for two and Arizona had scored, I think, two touchdowns. So now you really are chasing points. So I believe in taking the points where you can to a certain extent. And I think
mm,
that that really comes down to who your opponent is. If you're playing in Arizona, you can't. I almost would have rather seen nothing nothing instead of 3-0 because it just I don't know. It felt like things just were never in Tucson's favor despite having a 3-0 lead for however long they did.
and see, I have to, as a defensive minded guy, I have to halfway agree with you because I mean, I see, it's a chess match at the end of the day for coaches.
Yeah.
Um, the name of the game is to stay ahead at all points. So it's a calculated risk on their part to just go with the field goal. I assume that Tucson's coaching staff probably thought that that would give them the momentum that they needed going forward, but I certainly do feel like in a situation like that, you have to know, like you said, your opponent, and in doing so, just going for the field goal is not enough in that situation because that's not enough to, I guess, put a fork in the team to kind of take the air out of them. You got to show them that you're bold enough to trust all phases of the ball and just sometimes take that risk, man. So I hear you. I understand exactly what Tucson was trying to do, but I also hear you too. So I'm kind of on the fence as far as that.
Like, I'm not knocking it. Like, a field goal is a
Yeah.
field goal, and it was, a good one, right? It
Hmm.
wasn't like they got held at the 5, and now you have to settle, as they say, for a field goal. It was like, they took a chance to get points and they got them. But
Right.
I'm watching this game, and it just felt really like, even with a lead so early, that they just were chasing Arizona the whole game.
Hell
Malik
yeah.
Mitchell looked a little off. It's been a while since he was back in the fold, so he was
Hmm.
kind of missing some guys, receivers. They were a little bit out of sync. But they do have Sap Lynch now, so that adds to their run game, which we both have talked about how important having a solid, legitimate run game is.
Hmm.
So I don't know. We're at the midway point of the season now. We do kind of want to touch on our opinion as far as who's in the lead for awards, maybe, in our opinion, anyway. So we've got MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player, and then the Surprise of the Year, Breakout Player of the Year, Player to Watch, and then, of course, the teams that are still in it and the teams that are maybe just kidding themselves. So offensive player of the year. This one's pretty easy for me. I've got Castronova and Davis, the 1 and 2 leaders in the league right now for offense as far as passing. But really, I think it's got to be Sam almost, but it would be a tough call for me. What do you think as far as for an offensive player?
No, see, I agree with one of them for sure. I say Cashanova's got to be in the running right now. If not, somebody's crazy. But I also put Jerome Johnson up there, man. I mean, I feel like it's hard not to be drawn to his play, especially with them still being undefeated at this point. And just watching him, he has his lapses where you kind of question what he's doing as far as like his reads or just holding the ball too long, whatever the case may be. But I mean, for the most part, I definitely think he's the real deal. He's been tested now several times up until this point, so I think he's certainly in that running as well.
Defensive player of the year, the only name that really came up was Kincaid. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
been for Bay Area. I feel like their defense is so good that if they could have just settled on quarterback and not had whatever was going on with Neal and Harper for that stretch of time, that they would be undefeated, not just one loss. But I think it's their
Mm-hmm.
defense that has single-handedly kept them in every single game, especially the close ones, and he's been at the
Mm-hmm.
forefront of it. So Kincaid for me is my defensive pick.
Yeah, no, and that's literally the first name that came to mind when I thought about it because most of the time he's at the forefront of those tough games, those nail biters. He's the one making a difference. I think more. I want to say, and I could certainly be wrong, but I'll go out on a limb in saying that I think over half of the games he led the team in tackles because I mean he's one of those hard nosed safeties that come up and they make plays. I think I've said this before too, but I heard it from a commentator. They said he's the perfect version of a new age old school safety.
And then we move on to surprise of the season so far, which could be a player or a team or anything. I put down Green Bay and Vegas. I did not have Vegas pegged to be the lone remaining undefeated team,
Yeah.
especially now 2 weeks after the last undefeated team that was in the group with them fell. But
Hmm.
that's been a big surprise. I think you look at their coaching staff and their roster, and hindsight, you'd be like, oh yeah, absolutely, they'd be like top 3 or 5 teams. But undefeated, I don't know if I would have been even that confident, looking around at the roster and the coaching staff. But Green Bay, I figured probably at best 500, but the fact that they're
Yeah.
5-2 and second in their conference is absolutely insane, in a good way.
I like it. And I much like yourself, I have two as well. The first one, I had to apologize to all the viewers for being so short sighted. But I was very impressed with Duke City's performance this past week. They haven't been doing good. Obviously, it's no secret they're still winless. But this past weekend, I think they have something to look forward to with their new quarterback. I'm rocking my Duke City gear now. I'm hoping I'm hoping that I was waiting to break out the merchandise until they get their first win. But let's say I'll wear it first, and maybe that's the key to it. They'll get their win now. So I got my fingers crossed for sure. But I think that the fact that they gave San Antonio such a run for their money is just unheard of at this point because you know everybody pretty much, including myself, kind of wrote them off as just like a team to kind of just a tune up team, should I say. And I think at this point they kind of have some, like I said, some things to look forward to.
Breakout player. This is hard for me because I don't know who's a true rookie in the league, but I will say you and I can
Hmm.
probably agree that McCorker has been because we know he's a rookie, but he has been definitely a breakout player just with what he's been able to do, special teams and offense wise. Vander has been a very good player as well. I think a player to watch is going to be Jordan Vesey, the guy who had the highlight reel night with Quad City. And then, of
Yeah.
course, Duke City's quarterback will be a player to watch. So, what about for you for those two?
Yeah, man, I got to swing it back to Duke City on this one. Like you said, I had Joe Mancuso as my player to watch because I think he having gotten his first start and having such a great performance, I think he just has nothing but upside for that team. So I'm willing to bet that he's gonna have a pretty standout season going forward.
All right, so those are our players to watch, breakout player, and then we got both sides for player of the year, and then the surprise. So the
Hmm.
MVP, this one I'm saving for last because I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
In football, typically, at least the trend over the last decade has been that it's a quarterback award, but I don't believe that it's the same in indoor ball. And this year, honestly, looking around at the teams, I don't think it can be. Like, I think if at the end of the season, if it goes to a quarterback, it's because you're just trying to like put that position up on a pedestal at that
Yeah.
point, right? You're playing favorite
Hmm.
to that guy, but it could be one of the running backs, it could be a receiver, it could be a defensive guy. But okay, if we're gonna, for argument's sake, stick to quarterback, like who? Because Neil hasn't played every game for Bay Area,
Hmm.
but they're still one of the top three teams. And then Jerome Johnson, he's been swapped out for like a half a game or a game. And then you have Jones, who's played every game for Northern Arizona, but they're, not one of like the top three teams right now. San Diego,
Hmm.
again, they're 4-3, but Nate Davis, is he, even when he has like the better stats than the winning team, it's like, okay, so he did everything that he could. Clearly, he's not the problem or the reason
Yeah.
for their success. So I put down Kincaid from Bay Area. I put down Carter from Frisco because you can't even say Edwards now because Harrington has played the last two games for the Fighters.
Yeah. For
I do
sure.
have Jerome Johnson just for like the sake of having a quarterback from one of the top three teams in there. But
Hmm.
is it Max Myler? Like, I mean, these are
It
the
could
names I
be.
put out there, dude, because this is honestly like where we're at as far as, okay, who's been the guy on that team with a winning record or a perfect record or one loss, whatever, that the team, like, he is their X factor, and those are
Yeah.
the names I wrote down.
Okay. Okay. And I respect that. I like it a lot. I mean, you can't really argue with that logic. My whole take on league MVP is pretty much if that player was suspended or if he was God forbid injured, how much of an impact would he have on not being present on that team? And when I think about that, it comes down to three main guys. Not to say that these teams wouldn't play good football without said player, but I think they're just that good and that important to their team that they would, the team would be forced to make some serious changes if they're not around. And those guys are Nate Davis, like you said, and playing lights out. You can't really replace that veteran leadership that he has. Played in the NFL, has been a IFL veteran for years. Still holds the single season touchdown record as a quarterback. And it's not there. There are other good quarterbacks on that team, especially, but it's not you can't really replace that. So I think Nate is probably number one in the running. I say Nate, AJ3, and Mike Jones for sure.
That is our midseason awards, or at least our candidates for awards at this point, and kind of our criteria, what we think. And so that was also week 9. All right, folks, joining us this week, a first time guest once again, 3 in a row. You love to see it, especially for reasons like this. He's celebrating back to back wins after starting out 0-5. Quarterback of the Iowa Barnstormers, Kyle King. Mr. King, welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm great, man. I appreciate you having me. Excited about the opportunity to talk a little football.
Yeah, man. I love the Barnstormers. I've been there several times. The fans are always great. The atmosphere is always great. The team has been great, but this season off to a bit of a slow start. But now you guys have done it back to back. And I mean, I'm watching this game against you guys in Mass, 21-3
Mhm.
at one point. The Pirates
Right.
had no business losing that. But then halftime, it comes and goes. Third quarter, you get the ball, you score, you stop them, you score again, and then I don't know. It was like that was all you guys needed because the rest of the game is history. So, walk me through this as far as you guys get the first win of the season. What was that feeling like, especially, you being the quarterback and this team with
Yep.
such a rich history in the league finally getting into
Right.
the win column?
My first two starts, we went to Green Bay. No, was it Arizona home first or Green Bay? Either way, we lost a tough one to Arizona, 49-47, I believe it was. And then we go to Green Bay, which is a team right now that is playing really good football, and
Hmm.
lose a 7-point game. And those are my first two starts
Mhm.
of the season. So, those were tough ones. Um, we come home versus Quad City and finally get a win that's much needed. Even though we still kind of had a sour taste in our mouth because we were up really big in that game, like 28 something in the second half, and dang near blew it. So that's about as nicely as I can say it. So kind of still had a kind of a salty taste in our mouth, but was great to get on the win board. And then you get a team like Mass coming into town, which has already beat us up pretty good one time this year. To get them to come into town and get that win was big. We started 0-5, and 4 of those games were one possession games. So and it doesn't matter because it's professional football. A loss is a loss, and there's no moral victories. But we've been feeling the whole year that we're 2 plays away every game from being 5-1 or 4-1,
Mhm.
and it was frustrating not be able to get over that hump. And to finally be able to get over that hump these last 2 weeks has been pretty big.
Yeah, it was a huge game. Like I just watched it again recently because I wanted to pinpoint. We've been able to see a lot of these upsets or close games. There's been like a single moment, and this one there wasn't really, but it was, you're down 21-3, and
Yeah,
then halftime, and then you get the ball back, you score, and then you hold them off, and then you score again. But I mean, this was a comeback where, correct me if I'm wrong, like it did not come easy. Like you guys, there was the Rui deuce that got called back. There was
yeah,
a pass that
yeah,
got broken up that it should have been completed. I mean, you guys had to fight for literally every point in this game. So,
right,
I guess the big question is like, obviously you're the guy now, and it's been really great
right,
for you despite the losses to Arizona in very close games. But,
right.
what's been the difference maker between one score games on the wrong
Yeah.
side and one score games on the right side?
We
Mhm.
early in the year we really struggled stopping the run, and I thought we did a really good job against Massachusetts of stopping the run. And a lot of that is our D line is getting better. None of our D line had played arena football before, so it's different than 11 man. It is. I mean, it's simple as that. And we got our Mike linebacker back, which is when I believe when he's healthy, if he's not the best linebacker in the league, he's a top 3 linebacker in the league. Ian, he's really good. The first game of the year, he had a high ankle sprain and missed like the next 3 weeks. So we really missed that, and being able to stop the run has really helped our defense, I think. And as far as offense goes, like we got down 21-3, but you look at the first drive, 2 of those plays were my fault. Had a bad pass on one and misread another. So it should never have been 21-3. We should have done a better job on offense coming out ready to play football. I thought we came out a little flat and kind of stopped ourselves. I don't think Mass. I will say Mass had a really good game plan. They really switched coverages and they were dropping a lot of defensive linemen into coverage, which is something I hadn't seen much in this league. So they did
Mhm.
it took me a couple drives to adjust to that, and I thought they had a really good game plan. But I don't think us beating them is a fluke, if that makes sense. I think we are a good team. We've got a new weapon at receiver, brought him in, and that he had 2 touchdowns We had a bunch of rookies that have never played in this league, and that was game 7, I believe. That we're starting to learn a little bit of the nuances of the game, and I really think we can get on a little run here and make a strong push for the playoffs.
No, I agree fully. And one thing I've always said every season with football is that, or really any sport, I guess, is that bad teams don't stay bad. Like you've got, I mean, the
Right.
good teams are going to obviously make the improvements that they can, but pending
Right.
injuries, it doesn't matter if you're
Yeah.
you're good, bad, or whatever. Like teams are going to get better. They're not just bad teams are
Right.
not just going to stay bad. So
Yeah.
I do love talking to guys with a football mind to hear the game within the game. You and Sam Castronova have both that football mind about you as quarterbacks. It's so
Mm-hmm.
fun to hear and chalk it up with you guys. But I'll go ahead and hand it off to Malcolm now, my co-host. I'm sure he's got a few questions for you out there in Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely got a few for you, man. Kyle, what's going on, brother?
How are you,
So
man?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Thanks for being on the show, brother.
Of course.
I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of something that you said. And as a newcomer to the league, give you your flowers. You definitely have, got over that rookie hump, should I say. You can
Yeah.
kind of look at guys sometimes and tell just by their gameplay that they're not used to the game.
Yeah.
If I was to turn on, when I did turn the game this past weekend, you certainly don't look like you're a first time arena player, man. So you're doing your thing, man. I definitely get that to you. But with that being said, as a one of the commentators said something that was really cool. I don't know if you went back and listened to it, but he definitely yeah, he gave you some flowers as well. He said that that position wasn't the starting position wasn't given to you by any means. You earned that like through and through.
Right.
So I have to ask you, how has that
Right.
journey been earning that position?
First and foremost, I want to say me and Darius have a good relationship. He was the
Yep,
starter for the first 3 games. DJP, DJP was an established guy in this league before last year. Before he tore his knee up, I mean, he's one of the premier quarterbacks in this league.
for sure,
And
for sure.
I don't blame Coach Moog for having him as the guy first because he proved himself already.
Mm.
And I just want to kind of get that off. He's a great guy. He's been very supportive. Hadn't been any animosity toward either one of us. It was a journey. Sat for 3 weeks. Well, came into camp and I'm like you said, it's such a different game. I wasn't ready to play that first week. As far as how was it? In college, I kind of went through the same thing. Actually, my sophomore year in college, I was on the JV team in my college. I was like the
Oh
fourth
yeah,
string quarterback. By the end of the year, I'd end up being the starter on JV, and then earned my position and really kind of ran with it once I got it in college. And it's kind of the same thing here. I'm kind of glad I wasn't the starter right away because I like to earn things. I feel like you earn a little different level of respect with your teammates when you come in and you kind of got to grind your way to it instead of just it being handed to you. And
oh yeah.
it gives you a little bit of a backbone.
That's cool, man. I'm glad to hear you say that. You're one of the few players who I've met in person or on through phone, whatever the case is,
Right.
who is actually mature enough to admit that they possibly weren't the best option for their team at a
Right.
certain point in time. Everybody loves to think, "Oh, coach doesn't like me," or
Yeah.
whatever the case is. I've heard it all,
Yeah.
man. But that it takes a really introspective person to make that assessment. So that's congratulations to you on that. How do you personally approach a drive knowing that, okay, this is a must score drive? We got to put
Yeah.
points on the board. This could be the difference between a win or a loss.
Yeah. You try to train yourself as a quarterback to not really think that way. And
Yeah.
because when you think that way, you start forcing passes, you start throwing things that shouldn't have been thrown. And that's how you throw interceptions, which
Mm-hmm.
would have made that game. If that game goes to 28-3, it's as good as done at that point, basically,
Yeah. Yeah.
at least momentum wise. But we put a good drive together. We actually ran the ball well. We were down 21-3 and we had a drive there. It's not the last drive we scored because we scored with no time on the clock. But the drive before that, the first touchdown we scored, Robert Washington ran the ball very well. And I think that kind
Yes.
of took a little relief off the rest of the offense. And
Mm.
I really think that's kind of what got us jump started. Robert running the ball well and him and us being able to establish our running. I think we rushed for like 75 yards. That helps so much in this league.
Well, yeah, I was going to mention Washington. He got some
Yeah,
kudos during the broadcast. He ran very well, and you're right. Malcolm and I have talked for several weeks. I think beyond week 3, just how the difference for some of these good teams and great teams has been a true
yep,
blue run game, like not where your
Hmm.
quarterback is a dual threat and you've got like a T.J. Edwards who's doing
right.
literally all the work through the air and on the ground, but like a true run game. And you guys had that in this one, and I think if you can do that and if you can lean on it when you have a lead, then you can set yourself up for a lot of success. With that being said, though, you mentioned Coach Mogs. It has not been a great last like 4 years for the Barnstormers because they had Dixie. They went and won the championship with him. He's very difficult to replace, and since then they've had like 3 coaching changes. And so here you are with Mogs. In your mind, I
Yep,
mean, I know that you're still new to the Iowa way of life and what the
right.
Barnstormers are, but what is, in your opinion, is Moog's version of Iowa Barnstormers football? And are you guys kind of starting to see that now after a couple of wins?
Yeah, I would say first of all, to be honest, man, I don't know much. This is gonna sound terrible. I don't know a whole lot about the Iowa Barnstormers. This is my first year here. I like watching my Cowboys play, and that's kind of all the football I watch. I don't get too caught up in the other stuff. But since I've been around Mogs, I would say the key to playing successful football under Coach Mogs is really the quarterback. Um, he puts a pretty decent amount on the quarterback. I mean, it's nothing unreasonable. It's what this league is. It's professional football. You're going to go as far as your quarterback takes you. I think I'm starting to have a better understanding of what he expects of me, and we're kind of starting to get on that same page, which is nice. My first couple starts, we just didn't have that chemistry. He'd call a play, and I didn't really. Sometimes I wouldn't understand why he was calling a play or what he was setting up for down the road. But now I'm starting to kind of see when he calls a play, I'm like, okay, I think I know what he's thinking here, and we're on the same page more than we're not now. So I think
Mm,
that right there is allowing the offense. Speaking for the offense, is allowing the offense to turn the corner, and I think we're starting to become a little more of a physical football team as well. And Coach Mogs always preaches physicality between the whistles. So got to keep believing in each other and keep striving forward, which I have a good feeling we're going to do.
Yeah, both conferences are going to be all out chaos for the
Right.
last 2 seeds for completely different reasons. It's crazy when you
Yeah.
look at the standings right now. But I've got one more question for him. What about you, Malk? You got anything before we give him one more and cut him loose?
yeah, for sure, man. This is the fanboy in me coming out for sure. But I'll give you a little bit of history from Iowa. Well, first off, you guys have traditionally had a great fan base. One of the best in the league, you ask me, probably top 3.
Yep.
And as you probably have heard, one of the all-time great NFL
Yeah.
quarterbacks came
I
out
didn't
of
know
there.
that.
Yeah, so I'd be surprised if you didn't. But
Yeah. I did. I did figure that one out.
yeah. I gotta ask you though, man, as a quarterback, did that have any bearing on you, or was that one of the focal points of you signing there, or was that like the last thing on your mind?
I wouldn't say it's the last thing on my mind. First of all, back to to hit on that. I've been here for this is my first year here, and our fans are amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
Yep.
truly, it. I mean, we're 2-5, and they show up and they're rowdy. And if I could, and we that's what we talk about. Like, guys, if we can get on a win streak, can y'all imagine what this place is going to be like?
Mm.
Like, I mean,
It's
they
loud.
they love, they
It's
absolutely
loud.
love Iowa Barnstormer football. They love it. So to answer your question about the Kurt Warner thing, it's a super cool deal. Um, but I wouldn't say it really played a huge part in my decision. Not that I don't appreciate Kurt Warner. I just don't think I can be compared to that. Not that you were comparing, but I don't think I can put myself on that pedestal yet
I
because I
see,
haven't done what I need to do here yet.
for
I hope I
sure.
can end where Kurt Warner did, though. Yes, it is. It's inspirational that he did that, 100%. But I'm
Mm,
excited to see what it's going to be like in 10 games when the game slows down a little bit because the game's still fast right now.
sure.
It's been slowing down a little bit, and I'm super excited for when I can just reach that potential because that's what I want for my teammates. I owe them my best,
For
and
sure.
they're getting what I like. I'm putting in work. I'm getting better and better, but they still haven't seen my peak yet, and I'm excited for them to see it as well.
I
Yeah,
gotta say so
absolutely.
too, man. I'm definitely
Yeah,
excited as well, brother. I could say the a telltale, or I should say a prerequisite for a quarterback having that sensational performance is the game starting to slow down. You're getting a little more
yeah.
comfortable. So I mean, I'm thinking that you're gonna, especially with the next half of the season, you're gonna have some breakout games for sure, brother.
for me, it's performing for the people that pay to come watch us play a game. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's still a game, and
Sure.
we're the lucky ones for getting to play that game, play this game instead of this is our job. I mean, how many people can say that? Not many people can say their job is to do the sport they love. So let's try to keep it in perspective, and that's what wearing the goggles is for me, is trying to tap my potential for those people.
Mm.
Well, you're
I
certainly
was
off to a great start as far as your start, with the Barnstormers, considering you weren't the guy week one, but now, fully
right.
confident that you are the guy, back-to-back
Yeah,
wins to show for your hard work, but very well
right.
said. And man, it was just a great conversation, great time chalking it up with you here. And, me and Malk, we always enjoy meeting new faces in the league. We've got like our friends, that are vets and whatever, but
Right.
to have good quality conversations like this with not only new faces, but rookies is always a treat for us. So thank you so much for your time, man. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, folks. Well, one more time for our special guest, first timer. He is King Kyle, or Kyle King of the Iowa Barnstormers, coming off back-to-back wins, looking to make it 3 in a row this week. You'll just have to tune in and see if they can do it. But hey, man, good luck this next week. As always, safe travels wherever you guys go. But enjoy the rest of the season in Iowa.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And one more big thank you to Kyle King for joining us here on the show. Now, Malk, I didn't want to bring it up while he was on here, but I will
Mm.
say that I think I know the reason for Iowa's turnaround, but I'm not gonna fully divulge what that is until they make it 3 in a row. So there's a
Okay.
lot riding on this next game. I have a theory, but I'm not 100% on it just yet. So we'll see if it pans out. But that will bring us to our Week 10 predictions. And Malcolm, I have not seen a hype man workout video from you just yet, so I'm still anxiously awaiting to see that masterpiece come across my social feed.
Yeah, no, it's on the way. It's on the way. See, my thing, I've made this like a whole production. So it's gonna be well worth the wait, I promise. It's gonna be some funny stuff.
All right, so this pick, and we're actually going to get through quicker because Malcolm's punishment I have
Mm.
picked, and we're not going to save it for last. His punishment this week, and I'll go ahead and just kind of preface it with this, and that is that my pick'ems have not been great the last 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Overall, I mean, I've gotten enough to beat Malcolm in our pick'em for the pick
Yeah.
the punishment, but I have not done well. So I think that those are fluke weeks. So what the
Yeah.
punishment for Malcolm is that he gets left with the team that I don't pick for all the games this week. But I will let him
Uh-huh.
choose the game that he believes in his heart of hearts is
Hmm.
100% likely going to be a win. And that will be
Okay.
his tiebreaker. And then I will pick the game to be my tiebreaker. So his
Sounds
punishment
good.
is he gets my leftovers for whatever the pick'em is. Because I looked at the schedule and I was like, this is a week. This is the kind of week we've been waiting for because all the
Yeah.
games are games that it honestly could be 50-50. So I want us to run the
Mm.
gauntlet and we're going to have different picks on all of them. So
Let's do
week
it. Let's
10,
do it.
Friday, begins with the Iowa Barnstormers and the Quad City Steamwheelers. Last week, I picked against the Steamwheelers, whether it was because of whatever was in that wig and the dreadlocks or because I was going for the Jinx pick. But
Hmm.
Quad City, they get a win. They're back at home, but man, they welcome a pretty hot Iowa Barnstormers team. And of course, we just talked to Mr. Kyle King, but I don't think that's going to be enough for me to pick against Quad City. So I'm going to go with Quad City. And so that
Hmm.
means Malcolm gets Iowa. How do you feel? Like, do you feel good? You feel bad? Iowa all the
I
way?
feel I like it. Yep, Iowa all the way. We back on that. Yeah, no, I think I like how Kyle put it, and I think his mindset is kind of a microcosm of the entire Iowa organization. They know that next week is not going to determine their playoff standing or their who's in the playoffs for that matter. I'm taking. I have no choice but to take Iowa.
All right, so this is a win Quad City needs, plain and
Yeah.
simple.
Mm.
If they're going to keep pace with the rest of that conference. All right, so the that's our lone Friday game. So
Hmm.
Saturday, We start with the Northern Arizona Wranglers and the Massachusetts Pirates, both coming off losses. Arizona back to back, but Massachusetts a bit of an embarrassing one on the road, but against Iowa nonetheless. Not a loss that
Hmm.
you want on your resume when it comes to the postseason. I'm going to go with Northern Arizona. I don't think this
Okay.
team is equipped to drop three straight.
Mm.
I just don't. They're too talented to drop three straight. How do you feel about being stuck with the Pirates?
I don't like it. I definitely don't like it. No, I think Mass is one of those teams who, like we both said, they really haven't had that tough of a schedule this far. I mean, thus far. So I'll take it.
All right, next matchup is the Frisco Fighters and the Green Bay Blizzard. Apparently, all I've done all season is pick against Frisco, except for, that 3 week stretch where I picked them back to back to
Yeah.
back to win. But I mean, hey, whatever you need as your bulletin board material for the locker room, especially if it comes from the fan show, by all means, if
Hey,
it works, it
that's a
works.
W.
So with that being said, I'm going to pick Frisco, just because I feel like, like if me picking against them has somehow made it better for them, I'm going to pick them now and see what happens. We're going to test that theory. So you get
Okay.
Green Bay, which
Yeah.
it's not a bad pick. I think that for them,
Not at
this is
all.
a game they need to win.
I think they know that. Coach Roberson for sure knows that. He's a very cerebral coach, and he knows where they stand currently and where they're trying to go. So I think he'll impart that mindset on his team, especially this week. So Green Bay, I definitely like it. I'll take it.
All right, the next Saturday game. This one is going to be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It is the Sioux Falls Storm and the Jacksonville Sharks. Now, I
Oh.
have picked the Storm the one time that I think
Mm-hmm.
I will pick them all season. I'm going to go with the Sharks, but trust me, I'm not confident in this pick after their showing, in Frisco last week, but both
Mm-hmm.
coming off a loss, both looking for that second win. So you should have a little bit of confidence in the Storm for yourself going into this one.
I do, and I think that's a solid pick right there. I'm definitely gonna lock that one in. But on your end, I don't think that this is gonna be like a easy game by any means for either side.
Told you this was a gauntlet of a week, man. It's not like last week where we had all these thoughts and came up on the wrong end of them. This
Yeah,
isn't where
yeah.
there could be a huge upset. This is like it legit could go either way. So the next game, also on Saturday, so quite a lot of action on Saturday, is the Tulsa Oilers at the San Antonio Gunslingers. You can't say it any other way than this is a game that both teams need. At this point in the
Hmm.
season, this is a game you need to win. You're a step closer to 500, and you've got to start beating the tough opponents, right? Even the middle of the
Yeah.
pack opponents. Now, I know where you want to go on this, which is why I'm going to go a different way. I'm going to pick San Antonio so that you have to finally pick the Oilers. And I'm sure I'll get messages from Pat and whatnot about picking against them
uh,
again. But
oh
that
yeah.
who knows what that means?
No, for sure. I'm not mad at Tulsa. I mean, I'm not mad at the pick either. I mean, because I like Tulsa in this one. I think that it's a playing against Coach Jones after coming off a loss. It's a dangerous team, man. So yeah, I'll take that. That's definitely not going to be one of that change either. I like that.
Well, and the matchup to watch is going to be what Jones does to Castronova. I mean, it's that defense
Yeah.
versus that offense. That's the
Hmm.
matchup I'm the most excited for, because you
For
never
sure.
know what Jones is going to cook up. So the
Hmm.
next Saturday game is the Vegas Nighthawks and the Tucson Sugar Skulls. No brainer here. I'm going to take the Vegas Nighthawks. So Malcolm will get to cheer on the Sugar Skulls. I feel like of all the games
Woo!
this week, this is like the one where you're like, just damn. All right, so the next one is Bay Area against Arizona, the Panthers and the Rattlers. No brainer for who I want to win on this one. But
Yeah.
this one could be a lot closer than I think a lot of people think. I just don't appreciate the attitude from Arizona fans. Like I don't even know
Yeah.
where it comes from anymore. They joined the league in 2017, and there was all this
Hmm.
attitude about how they were going to come in and own the league, and then they won the championship. Okay, so a little bit
Yeah.
of an inflated ego, but since then they
Hmm.
haven't won a championship at all, and I just don't know where the attitude continues to come from. Just park the attitude. We're just
Yeah.
doing a show here, and you're taking it way too seriously. And
Hmm.
that's the problem that people have with them in the league. But I'm going to pick Bay Area, obviously. So you get left with Arizona.
Rather. Yeah. Yeah.
Could be good for
I'll
you.
take it for sure. It could be for sure. And I mean, just to backtrack a little bit, I think we both know where the attitude comes from. It starts with their head coach slash GM slash president slash king of the world, whatever. But yeah, no, I think Kevin Guy has a certain mystique about him that it kind of rubs off on the fans, you know. That being said, I think that he feels the pressure. He wants to live up to the standard that is Arizona Rattlers. So he's looking to win out. A hungry Rattlers team is a dangerous one. So I'll stick with that.
Yeah, and Guy does not like halftime interviews. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's the in ear because normally it's like over the head headphones that you get, but he
Uh-huh.
had earbuds this time, and
Yeah.
you could tell he could hardly hear the guys. But one, to his defense, which is a rare thing for me to do, but to his
Yeah.
defense, um, the guys that were asking him the questions were not on it. Like, okay, you've got a minute maybe from end of the half to coach going into the locker room to start making
Right.
adjustments to fire off one maybe two questions, and for you to give this whole you know uh prerequisite into this question that isn't even a closed question. It's talk to us a bit about that first half. Like, no, 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 no. Like, okay, this is the time where you've watched a whole first half. You need to pick out
Hmm.
two very specific questions that you want to ask this coach to get very specific answers, because he ripped out the earbuds and was like, I'm going in the locker room after they asked the second question, and he answered it real quick. But they jumbled around, and it's like they don't respect his time as a coach to get in there. And as
Yeah.
a journalist, as somebody in broadcasting, that drives me nuts.
That's definitely the journalist in you coming out, man. I'm seeing it. No, but I think part of it is knowing your guests for one, and
Yes.
secondly, just being aware of the situation. They have to know that kind of stuff. It pushes people's buttons, you know. So, I mean, hey, yeah, you're definitely right. I feel that.
It was a little funny to watch. But that brings us to our Week 10 finale, our lone Sunday game. This one,
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm might actually enjoy. It is the Duke City Gladiators taking on the San Diego Strike Force. Could this
Mm-hmm.
be Duke City's first win of the season, or will it have to wait one more week? Well, Malcolm will get to cheer them on. I'm taking the San Diego Strike Force at home.
And as much as I would like to possibly use my get out of jail free card on this, I gotta cheer on my guys, man. So Big City, let's go. Let's go. I'll
See,
be
there it
front and
is.
center. Yep, I'll be front and center wearing my shirt, hat, everything, man. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And I mean, honestly, I do have a lot of faith in their team now. I mean, I saw some great things, especially it's kind of a wonder how much one player can make a difference, you know. I mean, I like it. I like it. I'll definitely roll with Duke City. I think they got some good chances.
Duke City is not an easy win anymore. So if you were part
Yeah.
of that six of their 0-6, be happy that you got it out of the way, because I just don't think
Hmm.
that this is a team that's going to be an easy win anymore. In fact, I don't think any team is an easy win anymore. Not Jacksonville, not Sioux Falls, not Iowa. This is the time of the season where you've got to really focus on your opponent that's coming up next, and take the points and get the win. That's
For sure.
bottom line.
For
So,
sure.
told you we are running the gauntlet for week 10. Every pick
Hmm.
is a different one. I'm very excited for this. So, Malk, which game are you locking in as your tiebreaker? I know for certain this game is going to be a winner.
Yeah. I would say, see, it's a hard two of them right now that I would say. But I'm taking I gotta go with Vegas. The Vegas and Tucson. As much as I would love to see Tucson, start their season turn around against an undefeated team, I just can't see it happening, man. So Um, yeah, I'm gonna flip up and go ahead and choose Vegas along with you. So, yeah, I think that's my my lock in.
Okay, well, for me, I am gonna go with Bay Area over Arizona. That'll be my lock
Okay.
as far as wins, I think. We're different on all the picks. I gave you the luxury of picking your 100% lock. I cannot pick that game because it's a
Yeah.
tiebreaker. So, and then
Uh,
if it gets beyond that, we'll just have to see like who did better as point spread, right? Like
okay. Okay.
which wins were like really bad wins and which losses were not that. So, okay.
Okay.
There's our fun pick 'em for week 10. Malcolm's punishment. He had to pick the team that I did not pick for them. And
Hmm.
so next week, I'm in Orlando. I got my itinerary, and man, it is a busy,
Ah,
busy week. So I honestly, it's not necessarily that I wouldn't be able to hop on to record a show. It's I don't know when I'm going to have time and traveling
mm,
and everything to one, watch the games and be prepared to
yeah.
record, but then I don't think I'm going to have any time to edit. So we will give you a week off, but maybe Malcolm and I can coordinate where we hop on Instagram Live together. We can talk
Mm.
about things Monday night or Tuesday night or something. But I'm going to be too busy to do it. It's just not going to. If you knew how to edit, I would say just set up a Zoom, invite
Uh,
somebody, and do a show however you want. But
hey,
editing's like 60% of it.
definitely enjoy yourself out in Orlando, man. It's beautiful all year round, but especially this time of year, I'm sure. So, for the fans, of course, just stay tuned, stay locked into the Instagram for updates and everything. But man, definitely hope you enjoy yourself, brother.
And Malcolm's going to have his beautifully put together hype man
Mm.
video we can all get excited about. But
It's
yeah,
all the
it'll
way.
be a nice little break. I think this is a good opportunity since we haven't gotten any swag from any teams yet this season. This
Mm,
little break is the perfect opportunity where I'll throw this out there. To whoever the first team is that sends me and Malcolm swag to wear on the show first will be the
mm.
team that we cheer for the rest of the season. Like
There it is.
plain
There it
plain and
is.
simple. Okay, there's the deal. Whoever gets us swag first, we will be your number one fans.
And come on now, you will never see another pick against you. Come on,
Arizona
anybody,
sends us
just
care packages. Hey, heard
oh
this on the
man.
show. What now? Oh man.
Man, shoot, I take it, man. I know you would probably hate that a lot more than I would, so I would love every second of it.
All right, well, that'll do it for a great episode 489. We're going to take a week off, but please keep an eye out for updates on IG, like us on Facebook, and then give us a follow on X. You can see us on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts and Spreaker, and every Wednesday,
Hmm.
7 p.m. Eastern Time on Express Radio on live365.com. So, for Father Malcolm McCoy, I'm the T-Man Richard T-Man. This has been another great episode of The Fan Show. We will see you next time.